My guest on this week's episode of Suds Search is Brad Paschal, National Sales Director at Fixed Ops Digital. Brad is one of the most exciting personalities in automotive digital marketing right now. He hosts the popular weekly video series, Tactical Tips Tuesday. He's been in the automotive industry for over 10 years and held important positions both in dealerships and on the vendor side. Brad and the team from Fixed Ops Digital are fixtures at all the most important automotive conferences. He's a born problem solver and a legitimately generous person. I'm going to start our conversation talking about how to do marketing for a fixed ops department within a dealership. Don't know what fixed ops means? Stay tuned, because even if you aren't working in automotive, there's a valuable lesson about niching down to gain expertise. Grab something cold to drink and join me for a conversation with Brad Paschal. We'll talk about this year's NADA conference. We'll talk a little bit about the chip shortage, and Brad will tell us what most auto dealerships are doing wrong marketing their service stations. Brad, welcome to Suds Search. How you doing?
Man, I'm doing great. How about you, bud?
I'm doing great. It's great to talk to a friend of mine, have you on here. I feel like whenever I have somebody in automotive on here, sometimes I skip past some like important definitions, and for the people who are not in automotive, they don't know what we're talking about. So you work for Fixed Ops Digital. I think I know what Fixed Ops means, and much of our automotive audience will. But for those who aren't in there, tell the audience a little bit about Fixed Ops Digital and what that even means, what Fixed Ops really means.
Yeah, so fixed ops would be considered like your service, your parts department, body shop, collision center, things like that. Stuff that doesn't really rely on sales, right? So sales would be considered variable ops, and then fixed ops is stuff that that's routine, that's going to have to come in along with stuff, if there's any problems or stuff like that. So anything that has to do with servicing, parts, collision, anything like that is considered fixed ops.
I don't think everybody really realizes how big a business that is, and there's a lot of revenue in there.
Absolutely,
and that's what really actually keeps the lights on at these dealerships, because there's a ton of money and it's more consistent. So this is a really big business within a business.
Yeah,
fair to say?
$685 billion last year.
There you go.
I mean, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money that people spend.
Even Elon finds that to be a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. That's across the board. I'm blessed to work for a company that's pretty neat, where we try to set the service advisors up for the same success that we do the salespeople. So our company's about 4 years old. We just passed 660 dealers across the U.S. We really focus on being problem solvers and helping people and customizing stuff. And when you're selling a car, because I came out of a dealership, when you're selling a car, you say, hey, I want to be the person that you call if anything goes wrong, right? And I know that you guys do that at where you work, and we do it where we work is, hey, regardless of what type of problem it is, call me first, because I usually have a connection that can help you get it solved, right? So it's very rare that you see that on the vendor side. And so when you asked me to come on, I was super excited, because I know you guys believe the same way.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing you guys do a really good job of is you're good partners. The accounts that we have, we work together, I'm really, really pleased with how they go. And just like there's never been any drama with you guys. It's always just been really easy to work with. So we love working with Fixed Ops Digital, and we'll continue to refer you guys. I mean, I guess a good pivot is to be like, this is a little bit of a loaded question, but you're in sales, so you see a lot of dealers before they've started working with Fixed Ops. So you're inheriting some sort of campaign that they had before. How are dealers doing in terms of marketing for Fixed Ops? Is it just beautiful every time? It just is looking great?
Well, it's kind of crazy, because what happens is we go back to the business, right? $685 billion in dealership capture about 18%. Coincidentally, they usually capture about 18% of the search volume, right?
Yeah.
And the problem that happens, that we see a lot, and I'm sure you guys run into it too, because you guys create content too, is that they don't tell what they do. They don't tell what services they do, and they don't tell what, and you don't have to use us to do that. You can do that any way that you want to. But you should go through your top 20 ROs, and if there's not a page about it on your dealership's website, then your customers don't know what you do. It would be like going to Amazon and searching for a hairbrush, and all you found was just like a comb. That's it, and just one comb. And that does, instead of going to Amazon like you do now, and there's 5 million types of hairbrushes, right? If you look at it like that, if you're not able to tell what you do, and then you're busy with 57,000 oil changes, and you're upset about that, and your average dollars per RO is really low, probably need to look at your website to see if the only page you have on your website is an oil change page, right?
Yeah. Do you feel like there is a competition for attention problem here? That like the effort, energy goes into variable, and fixed ops can be second, or do you feel like, well, where is the energy going when you're the general manager or the dealer principal, when they really want to talk about stuff? Is there a competition for the attention of that principal?
Well, I think what happens a lot of times, and this isn't always the case, but this is a lot of times, is if you think about a career path into the general manager position, a lot of it goes through sales. And so fixed ops is this mystic area where they really have to rely on the service managers. And so I think that's why you see a lot of spend skewed towards the sales department, right? Because general managers are fantastic at knowing almost every part of their job. But the parts that they're not good at, marketing people come in and make them feel dumb about. And that's not, like Google Analytics or like stuff like that. So you have to be able to talk to those things without making someone feel dumb and explain them really easy, right? So I'll give you an example, okay? So if you look at, if I'm talking to a service manager and I'm talking about the sitemap on his website, which we submit to Google to make sure that Google knows where all the pages are and where everything goes, I'm going to correlate that to an electrical map of a car, right? It shows you where all the wiring is. It shows you what connects to what, and it's almost exactly the same blueprint as a sitemap. And so I think that's the problem. Part of it's on marketing people, and then part of it is just how the natural career paths in the dealership happen.
I like it. I completely agree that that's how the career path works in my experience as well. So, all right, cool. So you guys are niched down pretty damn well. Like you work within a specialization within a car dealership. So I can see the benefit of that. It seems like you can really focus, right? You can get really, really into the details, into the minutia, know all the verbiage that's really important. You can kind of test things out and replicate them over several hundred dealerships. What's the biggest advantage to specifying, being so specific as an agency that you guys are just, you're very much experts in this one specific area in a dealership?
It's very interesting because the thing that makes it easy is that there hasn't been a lot of innovation in that space. And so as we go along, we have the opportunity to innovate in that area. And we do blocking and tackling really, really, really well, right? And even most major websites don't do blocking and tackling well whenever you're looking at it, right? That's why you exist. That's why I exist, is because they don't do a good job of SEO, or they don't do a good job of building content, or they don't do a good job of fixing Google My Business or Google Business Profile, as it's called now, right? So they don't do a good job of that kind of stuff, and they don't do a good job of explaining it. And so what we've been able to do is position ourselves as the people that help people, no matter if you're a client or not, right? We'll help anybody. It doesn't matter. And then we've been able to innovate. Like we turned we have the same style click funnel that you have on Amazon, where you have a search results page, and when you're searching for something, it shows up all of the different options, and then you click on something and it gives you a product detail page or description of that. We've been able to bring that to the service side of stuff, where you have a service menu page, and then you have a service detailed page that explains the service. Because we tend to ask for the commitment way too early, right? If you look at every major e-commerce site, it's options with pricing, then details, then commitment, right? And so that's the click funnel, and that's the way we're trained to think across all shopping. And so by creating that menu page, we were actually able to turn that into an inventory feed. So now we're able to push into Google Ads. We're able to push into Facebook Market or Facebook Commerce Manager. We just did a test run with Amazon Display, so we're able to build this inventory feed of service specials basically, and we're able to push to all these different places where no one else can run dynamic stuff like that. Everybody has to create the creative. All of our creative matches what's on your website. So by innovating in those ways, we see lower overhead for creating all that stuff, massive upside, and then we're very strategic of how we partner with people. So we want to make sure that we're partnering with the best of the best, and that's what gives a return on investment. So we have some cool case studies with Amazon coming out. We're working with Facebook on some stuff, and then the Google Ads is pretty cool with the dynamic stuff, because I think there's a massive amounts of opportunity there, because we have really, really, really good content pages, which really helps that quality score whenever you're running that stuff. So,
well, I can totally vouch for your content pages. You mentioned something. You mentioned Google Business Profile. And you have a podcast called Tactical Tips Tuesday, which I love the alliteration. I wonder if you could give me some tactical tips on how to optimize Google Business Profile for fixed ops.
Oh, so there's so many different things. So there's been a big uptick in, I probably fix 15 of these a week for free. But just making sure that they're nested the proper way, right, as departments, making sure each one of your listings has 10 categories, making sure that, completeness of profile, so making sure that it's filled out at least minimum 10. There's interior, exterior, team products sections of the photos, and making sure you at least have 10 photos there, which is 90% of the people that I come across have nothing on the service or the parts once there. So we're actually working on trying to pull our service specials into the product section of GMB automatically, where you wouldn't have to update that. But just making sure that you have all of that set up. What I like to do personally is create a separate email address that owns all of the Joe's GMBs, and then add as many people at the dealership as possible, because if you lose access to it, it's a pain to get it back, right?
No question.
If you're having trouble with nesting your stuff, I know you guys do a lot of that stuff, or they can reach out to me either way. I'd be more than happy to help, no strings attached, because it's a pain to get those things fixed.
Without question. Yeah, no doubt. And I did mention your podcast, so I should give you a chance to talk about it a little bit. What's the show about? Where can people go to see it?
So it's a really cool show that kind of came out of driving sales. Greg and I both speak at driving sales quite a bit, and I wanted to do something different to where I could leave people with something. So I did a lot of interviews with people around the automotive industry that are really smart about fixed ops, and I put it in a presentation. I did commentary in between the videos, and it was a big hit, and I sent out the playlist afterwards off of YouTube, and then I got a bunch of emails saying, hey, are you going to do more? Hey, are you going to do more? And I wasn't planning on doing more, but now I'm booked up until the middle of July, so it's I book all of my own stuff. We have a really fantastic marketing team of that does a fantastic job of putting those out. I actually go back and help out with some stuff, so it's pretty cool. We talk about all different sorts of stuff, from technician recruiting to we just talked about how some dealerships are hiring electricians to put in chargers and to do solar panels, and dealerships are actually having in-house electricians, because if they rely on the charger company, it's 3 to 4 months out. So we talk a little bit about all kinds of stuff that's totally different, that most people, we're going to have, I just got a commitment today, which is pretty exciting. There's a guy named the Humble Mechanic. He works for Volkswagen. He has about 600 600,000 YouTube subscribers. He's a good friend of mine. Known him for a long time. I thought of him today. I sent him a text. He's going to come on the podcast. That'll be a pretty good one. But we've had all kinds of people like Patrick Brown and David Long and Joy Hawkins, which I know you guys go. She's an SEO person, so she came on the podcast. So I try to get a variety of people, but you'll never hear me talk about what we do at Fix Stops because it's not about that. What it's about is just bringing information and creating a community like we have on the sales and the marketing side for those Fix Stops people where they can learn and see what other people are doing and come up with ideas and see cool companies that do innovative stuff. And that's what it's for. It's like a give back type podcast, you know?
I love it. I love the approach and keep up the good work. We were talking off here. The last time I saw you was at NADA. For those not in automotive, that's the biggest automotive conference every year. And it was awesome because this is the first time it was back in person after, I think, 2 years off, something like that. So we've been back for a little bit, and as you reflect on the show, what were dealers telling you? What were your big takeaways from the show? What are you looking forward to close out 2022?
My biggest takeaway from the show, it was a little chaotic, right? Because it's the first one back, right? So it kind of seemed like everybody was out of practice. They were pulled 900 different ways.
It's a great point.
So, we had a fantastic show. We got to talk to a lot of people. It was really cool to feel the love, like the love from your customers and the hugs and seeing those people and seeing your vendor friends and seeing seeing all of that. That was it was very uplifting, and it really kind of recharged the batteries. My wife's in automotive, so it was her first NADA, which was kind of cool. So it was kind of cool to see. So now she's not referred to as Brad's wife. I'm referred to as Courtney's husband. So I got a lot of picking on, but I think the coolest thing was to see like where we stacked up against other people. Mm-hmm. And then the secondary thing was just how much, like how well your team does, right? So our account directors, they're all been in automotive over 5 years. So just to see how much people wanted to come up and see the people that they've been talking to over the last 2 years but haven't seen was really, really good, because and you guys know y'all have really good teammates, and when you have really good teammates, it makes your job so much easier. And I'm not constantly dealing with fires. I'm not constantly having to walk around. I get to do the things that I'm good at because I have really, really fantastic teammates. And I have really, really fantastic guys I work for, like Owen and Kevin. And so just seeing that impact on the people that we work with, and knowing that you're making a difference and you're helping people, and people other people bringing people over is really kind of neat. And our booths were next to each other, so it was kind of cool because we could walk them back and forth to each other. So that was a lot of fun. So I love just seeing people and getting out there, and I love people bringing me problems, right? So I'm kind of the problem guy. Like, hey, bring anything that you got. I like to try to get stumped. It doesn't. I got one, like I was telling you earlier. I got one that's kind of stumping me, but that's the first one in a long time. So.
All right, I dig it. Well, one of the things that everyone's talking about, I feel like we're almost contractually obligated to ask every automotive person about the chip shortage. For you guys, I wonder if this has presented an opportunity. So, auto dealers need to get more revenue maybe from their fixed ops, and they have less inventory to sell. Are they starting to pivot and ask you more questions about how they can scale out their fixed ops more because of this chip shortage?
Yeah, and the chip shortage is kind of different, right? So what's more important than the chip shortage is because of the chip shortage, they've had to pivot how they build a lot of these cars.
Yeah.
So you're going to see a lot of recalls coming out, right? A lot of recalls. Ford just got hit with one, 2 days ago?
Right.
Massive SUV recall. If it's in park, it'll roll off. So there's going to be a lot of recalls coming down the line just because of how they've had to adjust how they build things. And so we have strategies in place for recalls and recall campaigns and stuff like that to try to help people and making it easy. I know we work with Jared and those guys at Germain. We've done a lot of recall stuff for their group, Brian Kramer and those guys. So that's the biggest part of it, is the quality control that's going to be coming down the pipeline of these cars that were made during this time. I think you're going to see a lot of recalls coming in, and I think you need to be able to, number one, handle that, which requires technician recruiting and technician retention and stuff like that. And number two, you have to find a way to capture those recalls so you don't lose them to a competitor, right? Yeah. The other thing that's really important that's been, and you'll hear it up in different states that's been going through Congress, is the Right to Repair Act, which are trying to get some of these other independent auto repair facilities to be able to do warranty work, right? So that's something we really have to unite on against as car dealers, because we don't want to lose that warranty business. And every year it seems it moves a little bit closer to the line. That might be 4, 5, 10 years down the road, but it's something to be aware of.
No question. Well, interesting. And then the last thing I thought to ask you about is, you've been a big name in automotive digital marketing for a while now. I don't know if you go as far back as me, but I can remember when I first started my career, whether it was an auto dealer or just a prospective client, generally, they would be skeptical of digital marketing. They'd be like, well, you know what, we've been advertising in the Chicago Tribune for 20 years and it works, and I'm going to keep doing that. Or, the billboards are working, whatever. So I was talking to Glenn Pasch about this. Those dynamics are shifting. And so now it kind of feels like digital is the safe place to go. It's the most proven place to be. I wonder if you agree with that idea. And do you think that today, digital marketing for auto dealers, this is the safe investment for their marketing spend? That maybe there should be some other things into that. I wouldn't totally disqualify other things, but as you think about it as an marketing investment, is this the safest move to go into SEO, to go into PPC, to go into content, go into the video stuff that you guys are doing, and really double down on digital marketing?
There's a couple answers to this question. So I love the question, first off, right? Because I am a digital guy, but I grew up in a dealership that did a lot of grassroots stuff, right? And I think the foundation for any sort of marketing is embedded in the community, right? Yeah. So I've said this probably 900 times, but we surveyed all of our the people that worked for us and said, hey, what nonprofit are you involved in? And they told us, and then we adopted one every month for as long as the store's been open. And by adopting them around whatever their big event was for that month, then when my month's here, I help, or you help out, and then your month comes next and I help out. And so it creates this camaraderie within the dealership, because you each want to help each other, because you want to give your charity that you're passionate about the best chance. And I think that's the foundation for all marketing. So that's where I start. And then when you go from there, I like grassroots stuff. I like grassroots stuff, but I also love digital marketing. So I think there's a way, I think all marketing is a way to scale relationship. That's all it is. It's how do we scale relationship, whether it's that. So you have to run everything through filters. Hey, does this invoke any sort of emotion? Is this heartfelt? Is this, Yeah. So when I'm running marketing strategies, I start to run it through those filters, because there's only so many ways to capture attention. And our attention spans are shorter and shorter, and we're pulled 900 different ways. And I'll give you examples. So when you go camping, you go to sleep when it gets dark, you wake up when the sun comes up, and you're not tired. When you're at home and you're going throughout your day, you're overstimulated by so many different things that it wastes energy throughout your day. And so you go to sleep tired, you wake up tired, and a lot of people go through that. And it's because we're pulled so many different ways, and we're never meant to be that overstimulated. So if you know that, and you know that you have to invoke emotion to capture attention, it makes your marketing way easier to filter through, right? So I would say come up with your lenses within your dealership to run those through, to make a determination, and then back it up with data right? So we have GA4 coming down the pipeline, which is going to be a huge conversation, which I know we've had conversations back and forth. We're working on engagement metrics and KPIs for service department, because notoriously it's been like this dark hole where nobody knows what's going on and you can't really see through. So I think run it through the lenses and then verify with data on the back end, and that's the best plan to figure out if it's going to work for you or not.
All right, I love it. Well, Brad, I've really enjoyed the conversation. If anyone wants to get in touch with you or Fixed Ops Digital, where should they go to do that? What's your favorite social media? What's the website? Where do we go?
Yeah, they can connect with me on LinkedIn or shoot me an email. You can just find it. It's Brad at fixedopsdigital.com or Brad Paschal, Paschal. They can also, if they want to shoot me a text or give me a call, they can do that too at 806-548-2468. So pretty easy to find. If you need anything, or if you got a problem that needs to be solved, or you're having an issue or anything like that, or you have an idea, if you have an idea for the show or you want to come on the show, feel free to reach out.
Awesome. Well, it's been a pleasure. I'm going to give you a virtual cheers, and then I will sign off now. We'll be back next week with another episode of Suds Search. Brad, thanks again for coming on.
Thanks, Mark.